in that sense, if I were to understand purpose in life, it's more about a sense of fulfillment that you get out of it rather than the naming of the purpose itself, or it's more a feeling of sorts. Because you also called it achievement earlier. It gives you a sense of achievement. So the sense of achievement is your inner peace with uh, figuring out something. So would you say that the purpose unravels us if it were?
It unravels us in the sense that you are often surprised that how well you adapt or overcome situations that you otherwise would shy away from. When you venture outside your bubble of comfort, sometimes you do well, and then although it conflicts with sometimes may conflict with your purpose of seeking even short-term happiness, ultimately you get to reconfigure that situation and look at it in terms of, okay, I tried a new experience, now I'm confident with venturing outside my bubble of comfort. So reconfiguring it like that aids in a sense of achievement.
Oh, wonderful. So where we started from, in a way, it changes direction here. So initially, we may choose that this is the kind of direction we want in our lives, whereas life itself may have its own plans about what direction it wants to take us in, whatever, because of um, our tendencies or whatever our learnings in store for us. Whatever the belief systems, I will not get into that because that's a whole new topic. But whether a believer or non-believer, things keep happening to us, and they are not necessarily because of us in the immediate. We are the recipients of certain um, environments, certain challenges, certain mind states, which may not necessarily seem coming out of us in that moment, and yet they challenge us. So, are we saying that purpose can be grown into rather than, even if you do not have it initially or you are not aware of anything like that? Is this perhaps the answer to the question that I asked you about how to enthuse people? Just live your life as honestly as well as you can. Have a little bit of balance in terms of making yourself happy for all the crap that you're taking elsewhere, which is not making you happy, but it's okay. Just bide your time a bit. Life will find some use for you at some point and may make you happy if you align yourself. Is that what one can look at?
Yeah, well, it would definitely be very frivolous of me to describe an ideal situation where several purposes are set and I'm always able to achieve those. So, as you correctly said, there are some purposes that uh, can be and will inevitably grown into. You will inevitably adapt to the situation and find takeaways to uh, uh, find a sense of achievement in, regardless of where life takes you.
Yeah, this is very interesting. Are we are we then saying that I don't want to use the word destiny, but I don't have a better word right now. Uh, um, Certain things that happen to us, for whatever their reasons, um, you know, obviously in our meditation technique, we call it cause and effect. There's only something that you've done earlier and that has come back to you in a different form at this point of time. Um, Somebody may call it destiny, someone might call it God, or depending upon different belief systems. But the one thing that we all would agree upon is that this is happening and this is happening to us at this point of time. Um, so one of the better ways to find purpose in life is to adapt to the present situation. If one were to just try to sum up in one line, if one is to adapt to the present in some manner, um, however, with as much grace and happiness as possible, would that be a kind of answer to waiting and biding your time rather than just grumbling and getting going off track? Because then you're being very myopic. There's only the present, and that keeps engaging you and in a manner that you do not seem to like. Would that be a good way to look at it?
Definitely, I completely agree with what you said, because in an unfavorable situation, that's not necessarily the ideal situation for you. You can either be neutral and work towards accepting the situation, or you can, as you said, be bitter and grumble about it. So why is it that you unnecessarily need to do the latter, when by doing the former you can learn different things, and you can learn aspects of yourself that you previously thought were not part of yourself. You discover new aspects of yourself.
Okay. Um, I had a question. Wait. You used the term frivolous earlier. You wouldn't want to be frivolous. So now, on a little lighter note, when does one have fun with all these serious um, aspects of life being taken into consideration? How does one look at happiness from an angle which is a little more light and which is not really um, weighing you down all the time? What is the mind state that one has to keep in mind, according to you?
Probably striking a good work life balance, ensuring that once you get back home, you yourself, it is again, even when I was in school, and I understand that this is also very commonplace among people who have 9 to 5 jobs. People are almost defined to a great extent by their jobs, and they forget that there is a life outside that of the professional aspect that they're leading. So uh, yeah, seeking hobbies, exercising, uh, art, whatever makes you happy, I'd say that's a good avenue towards happiness.
Okay. Unrelated question because of what you just said. Um, if you were to, sorry, one sec. If you were to be forced by your circumstances, if you were to be forced by your circumstances to um, lead a 9 to 11 kind of job at some point of time, as is going to happen in the near future for a lot of us because of the paucity of jobs, the amount of work being done by a large number is now brought down to a few because of some of them losing it, your own incapability of saying no because you want the job and you want to stay on the job. In that scenario, how would you answer this question?
In terms of losing your employment,
Yeah, how do you keep yourself motivated in a circumstance like that?
again, I'd say it will indeed be unfortunate, and it is unfortunate that several people are being laid off. But that brings me back to the situation I am in right now, where I am seeking jobs. So a daily target of uh, several jobs that you apply to in terms of perseverance, I think is key, because if you are applying to several jobs a day and you keep that practice consistent and you persevere every day, then I'd say you are doing your best and there's nothing more you can do. So to seek satisfaction in knowing that you've done all that you can.
Okay, this was not really the question, but I would want to take away a bit of the answer uh, from this because you mentioned so much about your situation in this answer. If this were to apply somebody who already has a job and has to work longer hours because of not having enough team members on the team as much as required, so they too can break it down to saying this is basically you're saying what needs to be done has to be done without getting too emotional about it. Because if we get caught up in the emotion of the moment, it might just weigh us down too much to concentrate and do a good job then.
Yeah, I'd say the only emotion required at a time where you have extended work hours is happiness in acknowledging the fact that this isn't a permanent state of affairs, and that it'll soon be better, and that for further challenges later on in life when you're facing them, you can always look back to this instance and say, I endured that and I learned so much from that. So I think this will be a piece of cake for me.
Okay. Uh, we've had a good discussion so far. I would want to make a few points. You can add to them. Is what I am taking out of this. So essentially, when you're talking about, there can be long-term purpose, there can be short-term purposes, there can be no purpose, and life kind of puts you in situations where you have to kind of uh, find the most graceful and the happy way of dealing with it, which can become a purpose by itself for the short term. And with the point that you made enough number of times during this chat, is the it develops a sense of endurance. So the situation itself might not be very enjoyable, but because you are enduring it, it prepares you for something else in the future, perhaps at some point of time. Is there anything else that we can look at taking away from this discussion so far?
Uh, I'd say your ability to fulfill your purpose or different purposes in life is highly contingent on time management, which is something that everyone, it needs to be emphasized for everyone.
It's more about the disciplinary aspect of oneself, sticking to what you want to do
Yeah.
at the right time. So I would want to end it on a very happy note where my question to you is now, after this chat, if you were to still meet the 7-year-old kid and you had to explain, would there be a very simple way of explaining the aspects of one? Would you stick to the same answer saying that be happy, but figure out a way to be pragmatic and practical about it? How would you, is there a simpler way or would you stick to the same answer?
I don't think there's a simpler way. I'd say that. I'd say I stick with the same answer.
Yeah. Okay. I will not grill you further on that. It's been a very interesting discussion. Um, so thank you so much for joining, and hope the viewers also give us good reactions on this one. It's been a new experiment within the gamut of what we've been trying to do. Thank you so much.